Good evening once again, everyone, and welcome to TiE Kerala's Member Mixer, an exclusive platform to interact with charter members and associate members. And this evening, we are also having our session. It's a speaker session on AI, the emerging legal enigma by Advocate Vineet Abraham, managing partner of Brands and Bonds. To begin, I invite our president, Mr. Jacob Joy, to do the welcome.
Good evening. Lovely to see all of you. I've been given the task of welcoming you all, but how do you welcome the family? Because the family is supposed to be there, right? So all of you are part of the TiE fraternity. So welcome. Vineet, welcome to, and thank you for coming here. Given this age of AI, I think all of us talk about AI. It's become like every conversation we have, we talk about AI. But I'm not sure how many of us understand the impact it has had on us or it is having on us. And also in terms of when we use everything, how is AI affecting us, or how is it that we can actually improve our productivity using AI tools? And with all this framework comes the legal aspects of it. And thank you, Vineet, for coming here. And I'm sure all of us would learn a lot of things. I hope we go back not scared, but a little more charged about using AI tools to improve our productivity. Warm welcome to all the associate members and our charter members. Please utilize this time for mixing and interacting and networking. I will not tell you too much about TiE, but I'm sure all of you know. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem and probably also identify where are those gaps in Kerala where there is a possibility or opportunity for developing an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So with that in mind, we have Project Diya, which we've initiated last year, where we've identified R&D, agriculture, education, assisted living for these as core sectors, given the population diaspora of Kerala. And given the educational framework, we've said these are probably areas where we can actually give a little more concentration and focus and develop entrepreneurs, talk to the government. In fact, yesterday I was with KSIDC Managing Director Anne at Kinfra. And what we're trying to do is, can we create a platform where the government and TiE and other organizations are working together to create that ecosystem for all of us to thrive? And can we create a positive narrative about Kerala? Unfortunately, over many years, we have a negative narrative here. And only the negative things that happen in a business climate are always put out in the newspaper. None of the positives that are happening with industries in Kerala ever come out in a newspaper. So I think we have a responsibility to talk positive, talk about the possibilities, and be a part of that future. So welcome all of you to this. I would call Vivek to just talk a few words about TiECON, which we've planned for December 4th and 5th, after which we will go to the session. So thank you so much for being here and looking forward to a great evening.
Thanks, Jacob, and good afternoon to all of you. Wonderful to see a house full, and Vineet, obviously the topic I'm sure is of great importance and relevance, which is why we have a hall full on a weekday post-noon session. As Jacob has already set the tone, we are looking at a slightly different format, slightly different event, much bigger, much better, hopefully. That's TiECON 2024 for you. When we sat together, some of us, Jacob, Jimo, and Damodar, we are all part of the ExCom with the Secretariat team, now led by Divya and the team. We had a certain thought process that, okay, we've been running the event in a certain manner, so it's about time we started looking at changing the mold, changing the way in which we do the event, which is per se the reason why we thought we'll, in our own little way, scale up from Meridian to Hyatt in terms of the whole venue look and feel. And also the topics also, we've took some feedback from some of our friends and well-wishers, and accordingly we are tweaking that a bit. We are in the process of closing out the program schedule. We have a few good speakers already, and some of the others are in the pipeline, which should hopefully come through within the next few days. But more than the speakers as such, what we are looking at, because I think we've all come to a stage where, we don't really attend large events only because X or Y is speaking at the event. We want to go to an event because of the whole feel there, the whole networking opportunity there, the kind of relationships which we make. A good talk we can all watch on YouTube. You don't need to run and sit in a hall and spend 2 days physically in other events. The reason why we go is a slightly different, particularly in the post-COVID world. I'm sure most of us agree. We are here today, one, to listen to Vineet, second, to also interact back with Vineet and the others, and equally important is that we all interact with each other, and that is what we are trying to create, a space where people can actually make certain friendships or professional, I wouldn't, each one has a different perspective how they see a conference. So up to you. As we were saying, we are all going for the TiE Global Summit in Bangalore, very big event, 3-day event. We are going there without even knowing who's speaking there, simply because we know it's such a big event which should not be missed. And that is how we would like to position TiECON as we move forward, an event which should not be missed, irrespective of who's speaking, irrespective of where it's held. We cannot miss TiECON. So that's the positioning we are looking at, and which is why it is really, really important for all of us that all of you do come for it, and in turn also pass the message on. We'll soon close our early bird rates, etc., and depending on the kind of feedback and the registrations, we will certainly be increasing it exponentially, because the place being Hyatt, the initial rates, as you can see, would not even cover the basic, the food cost that we are going to pay. That's the initial early bird rate, but as we increase the rates, we will certainly be looking at rates which will take care of the expense of running the event. So please register early and also pass the message on. We assure you that event will be something which will be absolutely memorable for all of you. And any of you here who are also keen to sponsor, we are more than happy to have you on board as sponsors also. That's it. Thank you.
Now I request our active associate member, Mr. Madhukumar. He is the Associate Director of Client Associates, to introduce the speaker.
Good evening all, and it's a pleasure for me to be among all the TiE members. And warm welcome to Vineet Abraham. I was looking at the profile. I think it's a long list I couldn't actually by heart. So I think Vineet comes with almost 22 years plus experience in the legal system actually. And I'm sure under brands and bonds, they do a lot of stuff, but few of them are like IP and IT, which lesser known things, I would say, which is lesser discussed, but people who are keen, I think, take help from Vineet. And Vineet also advises people, clients not only in India, but across the globe, like EU, US, Singapore, even Australia. And of course, corporate banking and other related things is his specialty. So I don't want to talk much about Vineet. I think he'll be touch base on AI also, if I'm not wrong. Again, it's a Enigma as a headline showed. So over to Vineet.
First and the foremost thing is that many people, when I came over here, the first question was that, how come a lawyer and what is the connection? Have you started a new venture or something on AI? The most important thing is that anything under the sun and beyond the sun, if anything is there, that is under the purview of the legal spectrum. So when something new happens, the law has to step in. Inevitably, it has to step in. So with that premise, let me start. The first and the foremost thing is that we feel that this is a futuristic concept. No, this is not a futuristic concept. The AI or the aspects of AI is very much prevalent from long back. The point is that when you started writing an email, when you write an email, right now, the email prompts you the next word. What is it? It actually suggests you the words that you think about. That is exactly one of the small aspects of generative AI, artificial intelligence itself, which without the human interference in the computer or the system helps you to understand or finish an email. Many of you would have experienced that. So it is not at all a present day. This was long back itself. The impact is felt nowadays. My topic, I would be specifying more on the generative AI rather than AI. Now, what is the difference between an AI and generative AI? The AI is essentially making machines mimic human intelligence. So that is AI. Anything you take, if it helps reproduction or whatever it is, that is an artificial intelligence tool. Whereas generative AI, the big difference, it itself generates a content or any other aspects. Now, what all it can generate of its own is a huge question. So that is a basic difference between an AI and a generative AI. What all kinds of, these are more or less technical in nature to just text put into the context. These are the very well-known AI apps that we know. The Chat GPT, which almost everybody would be knowing. The Brad, the Google has become, and the next things, etc. So there is a lot of apps which are, or AI tools which are right now prevalent in this thing, and we are using that. Maybe it is not visible to see how an AI does is that this is the text, it can convert a text to an image, or it can convert a text to 3D and all those things, etc. So there is an umpteen number of ways in which you end up in a totally different spectrum from where you have started. Oh, what all is basically the AI related application. So where is it utilized? It is almost utilized in almost every area. The research and education. One is that the advantages of AI is basically on, it helps in the research and education. You can imagine how it is actually going. Industrial application, there is a lot number of industrial applications and all those things, etc. Programming, designs, customer supports, health care, etc., etc. So in all these industrial aspects, AI has become an inevitable tool for the progress. Now, that was a beautiful aspect of AI and all those things, etc. Let me come to a story of OpenAI. The OpenAI, when it launched its beta version, it gave a task. It gave a task to solve the cache, which is images and all those things, etc. Like we know that how many cycles are there, how many scooters are in the picture and all those things, etc. So that was a task which a computer cannot solve of its own. So the main agenda for the developers was that whether the AI or the OpenAI would be in a position to solve. So what it did, when it understood that it cannot solve the problem, it went to a website where you can hire persons for a price. So OpenAI went to that website, hired a person, and asked him to solve the cache for him. So when it increased, they asked, "Are you not human?" OpenAI simply answered, "Yes, I am." "Then why are you asking me?" "I am blind. That is why I cannot solve this problem. Can you solve this for me?" This was the test phase of OpenAI. So imagine what would be the impact of OpenAI or any other tools. There is a task which we feel that cannot be completed without a human intervention, and OpenAI took only a couple of seconds to actually overcome that problem. Have you seen this face? This is a picture which is not at all, this is not a human picture. There is nothing called, there is no individual like this, or it's otherwise called as a deep fake. What does the deep fake do? Please listen to this.
The The ongoing peace talks between Russia and Ukraine have opened the door for more viral misinformation to spread online. Now, this video falsely claims to show the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky appears to address Ukrainian citizens, telling them and encouraging them to lay down their arms and surrender to Russia. One version of the video has amassed more than 100,000 views on Twitter. But this is what is known as a deepfake video. It has been manipulated using artificial intelligence. President Zelensky never says those words. What he has said in a post on Instagram is that the only people he wants to surrender are Russians. Now, when it comes to misinformation during the Ukraine war, previously it's been videos or photos that have simply been taken out of context. But as Sam Gregory from Witness told me, that kind of deepfake video represents something different.
This is the first deepfake that we've seen used in an intentional and perhaps broad-based deceptive way in the Ukraine conflict. It's not an effective deepfake, and I think that's partly because it's not an extremely well-made deepfake, but it's also because the Ukrainians have done a masterful job pre-bunking and then swiftly rebutting the deepfake.
Now, the message from that fake Zelensky video was broadcast on 2 Ukrainian television channels. They have both now also released a statement reiterating that it is fake. But what's more, another deepfake video has now also appeared. This one appears to show the Russian President Vladimir Putin. He appears to tell Russian soldiers to go home while they are alive. But again, this video has been manipulated. President Putin did not say those words. Since the start of the invasion, Helena, Ukrainian authorities have been calling on people and encouraging them to be aware that these kind of deepfake videos might appear online. And this strategy to try and preempt misinformation, well, it's one that we could possibly see being used by governments in the future.
Just an impact of how the war is fought right now as we speak. So, you can imagine that how a deep fake can impact a war or any other things. So this is a tip of an iceberg where even the wars are right now fought with technology. Not technology from the missile point of view, but from an AI or a deep fake point of view. Now, if you think that this is not happening in Kerala or this is something that is happening only outside, or it's an international thing, watch this.
Kind scam here in Kerala. One person, Radhakrishnan, has lost 40,000 rupees. So now what happened was that he received WhatsApp messages allegedly from a former colleague. So after asking for money, he had some doubts where he went on and asked, see, there are so many scams that happen like this. Are you really this person? So the person on the other hand said, I will call you in WhatsApp right now. And they did a video call where the phone was kept very close to the face. And according to the police, artificial intelligence was used to show that, to create a deep fake kind of a thing, to show that it was indeed this person. And after this, Radhakrishnan transferred about 40,000 to the account that was told. Immediately after that, the person again asked for 30,000 rupees more. That's when Radhakrishnan got really doubtful, and finally he checked it and he filed a police complaint last Saturday. In the investigation, what police...
So this, I believe many of we would have read in the newspaper. See how this is happening. I'll give you one more example of an improvement of this. Maybe you should take it with a pinch of salt. No, if the parents, let's put this imaginary figure, the grandchildren, the father, the parents and the grandfathers. Now if the parents plan to visit a foreign country and they post their photos in the foreign country, and imagine that the grandchildren are studying in some other country, what happens or has already happened is that the grandparents would receive a video call of the grandchild bleeding or under custody, saying that they have been into some political commotions in the foreign land and all those things, etc. And if they need to be released, they need to be paid some amount. And who are getting the call? The grandparents are getting the call. What would the grandparents think about? They will not even think for one single second. They will pay the money for this thing. And you will be able to see or that grandparent will be in a position to see his grandchild bleeding, under custody, everything. No. What amount of truth is there in all these things? Not a single thing. However, this has already happened. This is not an imaginary or this is not a cooked story. This is happening. And so this is the world that we are living in right now. This could be a misuse of AI. There are umpteen number of tools or enough advantages of an AI. But remember that there is a panicking situation also with respect to AI. Have you seen, now I'm coming to the topic, my topic basically. This was only a predecessor. Have you seen this girl? Obviously you would not have. This girl was killed 7 or 8 years before. And one fine morning, her father notices an Instagram handle with the profile of his daughter. Now, his father understands that the girl is no more in this world. However, her photo is used and there is an Instagram handle which actually passes on the messages. He files a case. Now, the point is that how ethical the usage of this photograph, and they also know that this girl died long back. So look at from the perspective of an ethical side of it, how far this is going to impact the society. What is the legal challenges from this context? No. The legal challenges, you can see that generative AI is actually generating content. So that wouldn't mean that that is an intellectual property. Now, what is the difference between an intellectual property and artificial intelligence? Now, intellectual property means that you can have a property which is intellectual in nature, which means that a patent, copyright, trademarks, or designs, or whatever it is. Now, artificial intelligence is whether it would amount to an intellectual property or not. Context is that there are two different things. Intellectual property is different and artificial intelligence is different. Artificial intelligence just takes in the content and all those things which is relevant, and generative AI generates the content. Now the question comes up whether anything and everything can be coming under the purview of intellectual property, or is it a property or not. The perspective from the UK and US is that the US copyright law recognizes the work created by humans as an eligible intellectual property, or it is the benchmark. So work created by humans. Now, let's come to the question of the generative AI, whether that is actually a work created by humans. If you can throw up some answers, please, I will try it. Is it a work created by humans, the generative AI content that you see? Now, if it is a work which is capable or is created by humans and that there is a close nexus or an association, then it obviously would be termed as an intellectual property under law in US and UK. The UK government has stated, very explicitly stated, that no moral rights. Now, what is moral rights is that, see, if there is an artist who paints a picture and he has sold that picture, let's say, assume that he has sold that picture, but if somebody comes and tears that picture or makes some, put some oil onto that picture, etc., that again affects the artist. That is why it is called as moral rights. So the creator does have moral right. Now, from a software perspective or from an artificial intelligence perspective, it said that no, there is no moral rights to this. Now, this is something, obviously you would know that OpenAI is the main contender in generating the artificial intelligence. Umpteen number of cases has been filed against OpenAI. Now, what is these umpteen number of cases, or how? Everybody stated that it is an infringement of their content. There was cases cited where the watermarks was visible, but still These are all pending cases. Now, what happens into all these OpenAI cases? I just took the OpenAI cases, which is right now not decided. It is pending. It is lis pendens before the courts. Now, what has been challenged is that the OpenAI has infringed the copyright. Now, the typical question or the defense is that how do you prove? How do you simply prove that the copyrighted content was taken from a particular person? Because what the OpenAI as a tool takes is that it doesn't take the entire file. It takes the files from umpteen number of machines, large number of machines. Now, how do you 1 pixels, 2 pixels, etc., and collates it and then makes an analysis? Now, how do you prove that was on the first hand that was your creativity? If you can prove that it was your creativity, obviously you have a remedy against OpenAI. But the moment that creativity is a distant dream, OpenAI will definitely win the case. So in all these cases, it was the allegations leveled against them was first as that there is a direct infringement. Again, direct infringement has to be proved. Then there is a vicarious, or they prompted for the infringement. They prompted for the infringement and all those things, etc. That is again subjective. How do you actually prove? So all these cases are right now pending before different jurisdictions. It is yet to come. And the more or less the analogy is that the OpenAI would escape the net, obviously, basically, because the other party cannot prove that the contents were taken from them.
Can we ask a question?
Sure.
Who is the respondent in such case?
These are the respondents. OpenAI is the respondent. I have taken all the cases where the respondents are OpenAI. Yeah, I've taken it because OpenAI is the person who is the company who more or less analyzes all these or creates these databases of others. Now, we can say that it's of others, but OpenAI will never ever admit that that is of others. It is maybe in the public domain. Many of them it would be in the public domain. Now, the infringement will happen which is not in the public domain. Now, how do we prove that it was not in the public domain? I took your photograph, I took your write-ups, etc. So it's very difficult for the person. So like the author's guilt or there is big names are there. New York Times has filed a case against him. New York Times has filed a case against him saying that the OpenAI has taken or it is the Microsoft. It is the other, not the OpenAI, the other Microsoft software which has used it. So they are saying that they have reproduced all the verbatim content of the Times itself. Now again, the question is how do you prove? The subjectivity of proof is what actually helps OpenAI and other persons. From a legal perspective, the whole question is that whether the content was capable of intellectual property. Yes, the answer is yes. Second is how do you prove that that belongs to a particular person? Again, these are all, again, the GitHub has, again, somebody had used a software which was posted in the GitHub. I believe many people would be knowing what is a GitHub. GitHub is a software where you can post the softwares and all those things, etc., for transferring purpose and all those things. They used that particular software. And Doe means John Doe. John Doe means maybe don't know a name of a particular person. Somebody has infringed. That is how the US terms it, John Doe. So that they have taken something, and then whether it amounts to all these amounts to copyright violations is all still under dispute, and that is happening. This is from the perspective or scenario of US. These are all cases which is happening in other parts of jurisdictions. I'm just narrating these because it is a number of litigations has been fought in many parts of the world as we speak. And we feel that India is not part of it. India doesn't have anything to do with this. Now, let me put a small example. What happened? It's a very interesting case that the lawyers also use the tools for argument or something like that. So what happened is that the lawyers used a chat GPT And ChatGPT doesn't even stop for 1 single second. They gave an umpteen number of case laws and all those things, etc. It cited a case. They cited that in the court, and they found that there's nothing called such cases in this. ChatGPT just prompted and gave all those cases. Now, the real fact is that Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's lawyer, they were fighting a case, and Donald Trump's lawyer assigned another lawyer and asked him to find the cases. And what that guy did was that he went to ChatGPT and asked for the cases against Donald Trump. And ChatGPT didn't wait for a single time. It again gave answers. And when all those things were produced before the court, done. The court fined them for the wrong answers. So have you ever tried your name with ChatGPT? Just go to ChatGPT and type who is ABC. ChatGPT will not even wait for 1 single second to give you answer. It will narrate, and you don't know, God knows, you will be surprised to find that you are such a great personality. So that is it. For even 2 seconds, it will give you answers. So this is what has happened in US, and that too not to a small name. Now, interestingly, as we said, we feel that India is outside the purview. Interesting case is that in Jaswant Singh, the judge, while he was granting a bail, he keyed into ChatGPT and asked a question, is it worth enough to give this guy a bail? As ChatGPT is, it quickly gave the answers. So the judge, being a prudent judge, he didn't actually made any reference to it, but he quoted in the judgment saying that I asked this question to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gave me these kinds of rationalities for not granting the bail. And the bail was not granted. So imagine how this GPTs or the AI, the generative AIs are touching the day-to-day lives of each and every of us. Imagine that it is already touching the legal side of it. It is not the technical side what I am speaking about. It is the legal side that is happening. This is happening. Have you heard about this particular case? Anil Kapoor's caricatures and other stuffs were actually used by a pan or something like that. So what they created is that they create a caricature stuff. The sound of Anil Kapoor, Jackass, it came as in one of the movies. And then what happens is that even before Anil Kapoor knowing, he is finding his own voice coming up from umpteen number of sources. Umpteen number of e-commerce portals, etc., all asking in Anil Kapoor's voice to buy the product and these products were not healthy products. So he had to go to the Delhi High Court and get an injunction to stop that. So again, remember that it was the voice, or nobody can actually think that it was not the voice of Anil Kapoor, it was the voice of Anil Kapoor. So that is what is capable right now. Have you seen this girl? Anybody saw this girl? Yes. No, have you come across this girl? You have. Very good. You will never ever come across this girl because there is nobody living like this. This is the handle of our Shimati. Shimati is the first business organization to bring up a social handle. Now, she will dress for you. She will have a handle of her own. She will tell you what are the product ranges. She will let you know she can even dress up the dresses that you have selected. So it can do a lot of things. And this is, in India, this is the first, they called it Isha Ravi, and in India it is the first AI model or an ambassador. Beautiful. Imagine let me come up from the perspective of a lawyer. Somebody does some kind of a misappropriations to this girl. Tomorrow you can see the nude pictures of this girl over in the social media. Does she have a personality rights? Have they infringed anything? Now, what all offenses, still, if it can be committed, as categorized as an offense, what offense they have committed? Now, what all things it can be derogatory? Of course, the business organization will have a few kind of remedies, but no personality rights are violated, whereas this is a personality of its own. What is the legality of a generative AI? Now, if you really look into it, the only area under law, it is a work of art, and it comes under the purview of copyright. Now, what does the Copyright Act say? The Copyright Act says that anybody who completes a work is an author. And author and owner can be two different persons. So, our Copyright Act 1957 explicitly says that even a computer generated, is whoever causes the computer to generate, he will be considered as the author. So, for example, if I am writing a code, then I would be considered as the author of it. However, the Supreme Court has come up with one of the benchmark. It said that you need to have a minimum degree of creativity. Now, is there any problem over here? As of now, no, nothing. What happens in a generative AI? Generative AI creates new content. Now, imagine a situation when the present generative AI creates an environment, creates a new kind of contents and etc. and all those things, etc. To analyze that particular content, you need another tool. So the generative AI itself creates another software or another application to run that particular contents. So from the existing things, let's say there are 2 or 3 stages. Existing stage, you create a content, that particular content, also that environment needs another solution, so the generative AI itself creates another software or an application to solve that. That application again creates another environment. Now, where does the minimal degree of creativity come into picture? You have already lost the touch with what you have created. It just went to the domain or the public space or wherever it is, and it creates of its own. Now, after a while, after a couple of years, where do we stand? Whether we can anyway say that this application was created by A or B or C. The legal question over here is that if you can identify a particular person as the owner of the work, you can also impute the responsibilities. Now, you give a situation where you cannot identify the owner, how do you actually impound the responsibilities? Now, that particular application can do good things and also bad things. Now, how do you discriminate? How or where does the law arise or come into picture? Or how can the law come into? Obviously, the law has to come into picture. But how? How will it come into the picture? This is a very critical question, which right now, I believe none of us will have any answers for that. Let's come to the context of the Indian scenario again. There was an app, artificial intelligence painting app. Copyright, software is a copyrightable subject. So they filed a copyright for this particular artificial painting app, and they got the registration of it. Suddenly, somebody gave some intimation to the copyright registry saying that, how can you give a copyright to this particular artificial intelligence app? No. The copyright registry issued a circular or a notification, not a circular, notification saying that, no, we are withdrawing this. But if you go right now and search for it, it is still existing there. Now, what is the real legality over it? Nobody knows. But this has happened over here in India. Now, the most important defense that anybody would take is that it was a fair use. I just used it for these photographs, even if it is a copyright infringement, I do have a fair use because I'm not commercializing it. I'm using for academic purposes and all those things. That is called a fair use defense. Now, that is the only defense that is available for any of the copyright infringing. Bigger question is, how do you actually identify that particular person? Mens rea. Mens rea means that you need to have a mental element for committing any crime. There are two ingredients that is required for committing a crime. One is the actus reus, that's a particular act, and another is a mens rea. So that is why there is a legal defense for insane persons and all those things, insanity and all those things is a defense because he doesn't have a mental element, he doesn't know what he's doing. Now imagine a situation that in the example which I narrated, where you have 3 or 4 layers of artificial intelligence creator or generative artificial intelligence. How do you impute the mens rea to anybody? This is the legal flux. Now, one of the bench lines that has come up over a period is that, is it a pure artificial intelligence or is it a human assisted? Now, what is the difference between that? A pure one means that the artificial intelligence itself creates the contents. That is a pure artificial intelligence. Human assisted means obviously, as its name suggests, the humans will be have some kind of a role to that particular application. The biggest question over here is, who is accountable? Now, it is very easy for me or anybody in the industry to create an artificial intelligence app. Now, whether I am accountable for whatsoever it does, how or what kind of an accountability should the society or the legal fraternity give back to the person who created it? What is the level of accountability? The first and the foremost thing as right now we speak is that identifying it. Now, if you cannot identify, how can you impute an accountability part of it? The current legal position in India is that there is no specific codified law in India with respect to which regulates the artificial intelligence. The intellectual property law helps you, the copyright law and other stuffs actually helps in few of the aspects. The data protection and privacy law and information technology law. These are the infrastructure the legal infrastructure that you have right now. But it doesn't have a specific law to govern artificial intelligence. The most important thing is that this is quite an appreciable or something which has happened from the Indian government perspective. The Indian government was the only government who actually gave an advisory. It gave an advisory when somebody was launching an artificial intelligence application. Now, what happened over there is that it gave a guideline saying that every intermediary and a platform should ensure that they have this, they are eligible, or they should state that this application is a artificial intelligence application. It was supposed to be that. Now, what has happened is that in March 2024, they came up with an advisory. Soon, the software startups started agitating against that. And very soon, in a couple of days' time, that advisory from a legal implication, it came down saying that it is only a directive. It is not something which is to be necessarily complied with. That it took a backseat as soon. Now, what does really right now where we are, this is what has happened. It says that it should appropriately label. If you are launching an artificial intelligence app into the internet domain, these are the complaints that you are required to do right now. This is an advisory, but that advisory has to be complied with. I'm not reading. You can see that. Again, the directive says that the intermediary should inform each and every person that this is an generative artificial intelligence or is an artificial intelligence. It's one of the mandate provided by the government right now. Also, it should be able to identify. That is what it says, that it should be label embodied and permanently unique metadata so that somebody can actually identify what that software is. This was the creator of artificial intelligence speaking.
Period when, for the first time ever, we may have things more intelligent than us.
You believe they can understand?
Yes.
You believe they are intelligent?
Yes.
You believe these systems have experiences of their own and can make decisions based on those experiences?
In the same sense as people do, yes.
Are they conscious?
I think they probably don't have much self-awareness at present. So in that sense, I don't think they're conscious.
Will they have self-awareness?
Oh yes. I think they will in time.
And so human beings will be the second most intelligent beings on the planet.
Yeah. We have a very good idea of sort of roughly what it's doing. But as soon as it gets really complicated, we don't actually know what's going on any more than we know what's going on in your brain.
What do you mean we don't know exactly how it works? It was designed by people.
No, it wasn't. What we did was we designed the learning algorithm. That's a bit like designing the principle of evolution. But when this learning algorithm then interacts with data, it produces complicated neural networks that are good at doing things, but we don't really understand exactly how they do those things.
This is from the words of the creator itself. So this is what an artificial intelligence can do. Now, from looking from the perspective of the legal angle, do we have any codified law yet? The answer is no. Whether the government would step in. The Indian government was the first government to actually step in and state that, yes, artificial intelligence needs to be governed. But it is for the fraternity of the IT industry which has to come up and say that how we can contain this menace. Now, there are umpteen number of advantages when we say or when we display that the negativities of it. There is a lot of aspects over here. Now imagine the possibilities of an artificial intelligence. We are seeing that a film can be made entirely by artificial intelligence. There need not be any artist. There are umpteen number of applications which help in creating the background scores, in creating the dialogues. Now you need to put it in a text form can be converted into an image forms, and image forms can be converted into moving pictures, and moving pictures can be with background noise, background musics and all those things. So it is not so far that we see a film that would come entirely from an artificial intelligence creativity point of view. So there are a lot of it. Putting in another advantage of the artificial intelligence is that now the biotechnology industry or any other medical industries, there's a lot of aspects that is happening where artificial intelligence is populating these data and giving quick solutions. When it is going for the surgery, there is a tool which helps the doctors just to analyze what is the data or how he should perform the operations, what are the other aspects that he should be taking care about and all those things. Even the artificial intelligence is right now doing these few of the operations and all those things, etc. So anything, if you take the manufacturing industry, there are a lot of tools which helps in populating the data and providing the solutions. So a lot of good steps are happening. A lot of aspects from the artificial intelligence perspective is happening from a positive side of it. But the law and or the fraternity also should know that it is not only the advantages of that should be told. It's coming into the society. From the societal point of view, the law will have to step in, and at a given point of time, it will have to frame certain guidelines which would enable the growth of artificial intelligence. The most important aspect is that if you are having a tool of artificial intelligence, the central government is having a substantial amount of funding is not a problem for you. There's a number of projects that are coming up with it. So there is a lot of advantages connected with artificial intelligence. But this is one area where law will definitely step in and regulate something like that. Welcome to ask any questions over here. This is, yeah, please go ahead.
My question specifically is about the liability as an entrepreneur making the system that uses AI. And I will make it slightly more specific also. And what happens is that the difference between algorithmic processing and artificial intelligence based processing is that one, you can really step through the algorithm and know exactly why it did what it did. But when it's going through AI, it's a function of what the model is and what the data it has been trained on. So I give this, this ABCDE system to a client to use. So the system is learning their data and coming up with its own decisions. And it says, let's say it's a medical system and it's made a misdiagnosis. I'm not responsible, it is their data. What is my liability in today's sort of this, transient legal atmosphere?
Okay, no, that doesn't much have to do with the artificial or generative artificial intelligence. Because if somebody is populating a data or making an analysis of an existing data and it is coming to a conclusion to that of this thing. No, the point is that majority of it would be governed by a contractual principles which is still existing, and it will be existing when a generative AI is also doing it. So as a business owner, there ought to be an agreement with the client stating that, see, my application will be just analyzing your data, and these conclusions will be provided based on your data. Now, your liability will arise if it goes external and making certain conclusions. But if it is within the data that is provided by the client, then...
That's exactly what I'm saying. It will go beyond. That's what AI does. You will not be able to predict what... you can say that you wanted to perform within a particular, accuracy level, stay within the parameters, but it is, statistical. It is sort of... It is different. So what you just said, that I'm learning your data and therefore I am doing this, I will not be able to go and prove it in court that my system did this.
Yes. Now, the answer to that question is again going back to the root itself, like who created the application and whether the application or the generative AI, you did frame some kind of a parameters or boundary lines for that to do that. Now, if it goes beyond, it is whose responsibility? It is the creator's responsibility. Yes. You should actually, if you are having a direct connection. Now, if you don't have a direct connection, if your application has crossed the second stage, saying that the application itself has created another application, then you may not have a control. But right now the benchmark is, do you have a control over it? You have the control to say the parameters, the boundary lines. When you are building an application, you can also state what is the boundary line. If the app is going beyond that, it is like a negligence. It could be treated as a negligent part of you. Now you cannot say that you gave me the data and this application went and read beyond that. Now your job would be to actually contain that within the parameters. Now if it goes beyond, obviously then the liability part would be there in the first part of it. But the application itself creates another application, so you would be helpless.
I don't want to hog time, but this is really, really complicated. No straight answer available.
See, the problem is that you will not find a straight answer. You will find only a logical answer.
No, what I'm saying is, it goes through, again, I'll leave other people to talk about this. Maybe I'll find it elsewhere.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, please.
About those 5 components.
Correct.
I only made B.
Yeah.
And A, B, and C, when it all came together, created the outcome.
Correct.
Who's liable? Is it me? The B was not, you can't pinpoint B as a problem maker.
Absolutely.
It was a combined effort.
Again, what will come into your rescue is basically a contractual obligations or the terms and conditions of contract. When B is solely and exclusively liable for the mishap, then you will be liable. But if it is collective in nature, you cannot identify who caused the problem. How can the client itself say that That was. So it is more or less contractual in nature. If you can be pinpointed, proved that you have caused the problem or the B has caused the problem, then obviously your liability would be there.
Can we have a call out in these clauses that, you have that
Yes, obviously.
escape route in all of these contracts that it will be subjective, this is...
Yes. See, all these contracts will be going into a lot of changes, basically because of the fact that if you can impound or you can pinpoint the particular person who has actually done the wrong, then obviously there is a liability. But if you cannot, if I'm going to file a case against you, under what circumstances or how can I say that the B caused the problem? A, B, and C caused the problem. But how can I say that C has caused the problem? Either I have to take all the parties and saying that, boss, A, B, and C caused the problem. Now, A, B, and C doesn't have any relationship in between.
So the integrator actually brought in A, B, and C together.
Correct.
And he is commercializing it. So the commercial liability is actually, he's the one who's making the money.
Correct.
The B's portion is already paid up and it's one.
So what happens is that the integrator would obviously say that, boss, I'm not doing anything else. I'm creating a platform where A, B, and C can come and take the application. It still is, it's relevant order. It's only a platform. It is only a platform. So A, B, and C can come to the platform and then collectively it can function as often. So the integrator would obviously have an agreement stating that I don't have any liability over here. I would not take any onus of these things. I just created the platform. The same thing that happens with all the e-commerce platforms. Because you take the banking transactions, it is not completed in the same server of the service provider. It goes to some other server, completes the transactions over there, comes back and all those things, etc. How will you be liable for the banking transactions? So the same logic will apply. The integrator would definitely take up a backseat saying that in his agreement, saying that, no, I'll not be integrated, I'm just a platform.
If the LLM model is built by you guys, like the product owner by themselves, then the 100% accountability comes to you as a business owner. Now, if you're using a public domain solutions like ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, and you're integrating and then you're stitching up a solution, then like he clearly mentioned, have a clear disclaimer with the customer or a contractual statement with the customer that this has been brought in by so and so providers, and the accuracy of the data will depend upon the efficiency of the models that has been combined to give you the solution. So please be advised that this is not 100% reliable. So that is why even when you're using ChatGPT, it clearly tells you in their website and everything, don't depend on this. This is an artificial model. So clearly, this is basically to get you information, help you decide on something, but this is not the 100% accurate information. I hope I helped.
That's the directive. That is exactly the directive of the government too. That if you are launching an artificial intelligence, you should... I haven't come across, seriously in my research, I haven't come across right now, till date, from this. But that is in a very near future. That is obviously there in the visibility part, that thing can happen. Because a lot of tools, artificial intelligence tools are used by medical, not only for medical, for drug discoveries and all those things, etc. Education is another industry where there is a lot of applications are being used and all those things, etc. So there is no industry which is left out. Obviously, the implications would come up as soon as. And now again, how do you, at this juncture, how do you say that, how do you pinpoint that this was caused by an artificial or a generative artificial intelligence? That difficult part is there. But a couple of years down the line, it is going to be like a medical negligence, same medical negligence laws are there. It would have to be tweaked to factor in the liability part of generative AI also. It's very coming very soon. Not a couple of years, it would be there. Right now, this is the legal spectrum. This is the legal scenario over here. No specific or codified laws over here. The intellectual property, information technology, and personal data protection law helps in identifying these laws and all those things, etc. So this is how it stands as of now. Yeah.
I probably thought of about 8-9 years ago, and I said it in one of the TiE meetings also. So just some possible solutions, I think, from a technical point of view, maybe somebody who's technical can chip in. One is regarding what you said about metadata, I think. So that may be a solution to actually, if you have regulation to force any company which is into AI. One is a simple, we are doing AI thing, which the government has done. The other is if you, by regulation, you have to have some kind of hard coding of metadata which says that this is an AI thing of this particular version or whatever. That kind of you may be able to identify. Then another solution I think is a digital copyright. Just like you have a copyright for humans, you will have to have an artificial copyright. And possibly a generated code by the Copyright Office maybe, which is given to applications, which has to be embedded.
There's a big question over there. The problem is that if all those creativities generated by an artificial is given a copyright over it, as we speak about, in a minute, more than 1 billion copyrights are created. More than 1 billion copyrights are created by many of the artificial intelligence. So it is practically impossible to just give accountability and also ownership for such creations. It's become so practically impossible. Now, you have a software, a Dale or something like that, you just type in the key in words, I need a picture where an aircraft is there, a sun is there, a boat is there, a ship is there, flying birds are there. You put all illogical stuffs. Within seconds, you will be able to get that picture out of there. Now, that is a creativity. Now, if such creativities are taken, the issue would be the Copyright Office would not, or any of the administrative offices will not be able to actually identify or even take that much kind of this thing. So there are two problems over there. One is from the perspective of the legality perspective, and another is from the administrative perspective. In both the situations, it is very difficult. From the legality perspective, how do you account? It is created by a computer. Right now the law says that are you the person who created or assisted in that computer to create? If the answer is yes, then you are the copyright owner. Tomorrow there will be situations where you never assisted in this thing. That is really happening. Now how do you give the ownership of that?
So it cannot be done physically. No applying directly to the Copyright Office. I'm talking about something like an API which you have for your Aadhaar or something like that, where you can check. Similarly, you will have the digital copyright actually generated with a request.
There is a legal problem with the NFTs, you know that non-fungible token, which again is outside the purview of the copyright right now, because it's also trying to give a codified watermarking or whatever. It's a number, non-fungible tokens also. So that is again. Right now there is no answer for that. Right now the answer, because this is evolving. The problem of this particular topic is that it is evolving only. The law will have to step in at a given point of time to regulate over here, because right now it is handicapped. Now that handicap has to be cleared or rectified by the industry itself. The law or any of the other administrative agency will not be in a position to do that. The solution has to come within the industry.
Yeah. Probably the mens rea part is very tricky. I don't know if that can be solved, but the others, I think technically you should be able to.
That is from the criminal liability input. Right now, the other questions of what we addressed is more of a civil nature, which can be addressed to an extent. Criminal liability will also obviously come up. Tomorrow, the generative AI is going to create a lot of offenses also, because it is capable of doing that. It itself is such a tool that it will be capable of thinking beyond all possibilities. So definitely.
Thank you.
Criminal offense. See, what I just showed a couple of videos was criminal offense itself. the artificial intelligence, you prompt you create a software to identify the location of a few persons. Give the software itself can give the quotation to few of this thing, rob your house or whatever it is. So you just created an application. So all these things can from a generative AI perspective. See, the deep fake, just to give you an example, deep fake is a criminal act. There are tools which can actually help you within a second to put your face or replace, so swap your face with a celebrity face, and the celebrity tells you something or impersonates it and declares something to do some criminal activity. So there is a lot number of opportunity, not one. There is a lot number of opportunity for the criminal aspect. If you have the data, if you simply go to the dark net, what kind of criminal activity is right now being done? There's a lot of aspects. So there's a umpteen number of possibility. I just again gave you the personality example of the model that you take. If tomorrow, if somebody says that you do this thing, you do that thing, the handle itself says that it's a criminal activity. So there is a lot of criminal activity that can be done.
Yeah. Next question. So I just wanted to know, as you have explained, that the ring fencing a data, for example, income tax laws, it's ring fenced. And if somebody asks a question to that database, it gives simplest of answers with perfection. Will it help the software, for example, the other questions for medical journals, for example, approved medical journals written by some people, which gives database very limited access outside that, which gives a perfect answer to a question, which doesn't access the other innumerable data, stupid data in the system. Will it help more perfection to these AI possibilities?
You can bring a ring fence to it. What unfortunately has happened is that there is no ring fence right now. It's already in the market. It's already populating the data. It is already doing all the steps. If you really want, if you are from an accounting background, let's say you need to have a project report or something like that, snap of a second you will be able to generate that. Now, from where do you get that data? Because of that ring fence was not there, the data was already available and it pulled up all those data. Now, the cases which I have quoted over there is actually a typical infringement cases filed against him. Even though that ring fence was there, the technology was able to actually penetrate that ring fence and obtain that data and leave no traces. So that is why they have filed that cases saying that it is an infringement and all those things. The problem is that how do you prove? How do you prove that it was taken and all those things, etc.? So your question is from an idealistic situation. Unfortunately, that has long gone. That ring fence is already gone. So if you take any subject, any industry, all these data would be already available over there.
No, my question is, for example, software developers. For example, somebody comes with an idea which specifically says that we rely only on government published data or case laws of what has happened in all the codes and income tax law only, that will be ring fenced and kept in the AI, which will generate very specific answers. For example, the judge which quoted the situation. So something like that, if that happened, like UPI by the government made the connectivity, like for example, handles which is all concentrated onto one point, but it works very smoothly. Something like that will give potential to a lot of business models to work in a cohesive manner.
So, yes, again, from an idealistic point of view, yes, that is what he also asked, whether, in his example also, he told me that the same thing, like you create a particular, ring fence with a particular thing. Now, just to add on to his question, you ring fenced it, But there is some other applications which would also have other public domain data and all those things. And third party integrator comes up and pulls your and his. And then the client will be in a position to just bypass your ring fence in a quick succession. So it is not the final answer. It is an idealistic situation. It is a very beautiful idealistic situation. But unfortunately, that is not there. It already crossed that borders. It already crossed that borders. But you answer your question, yes, if it is, when the code creators are fencing that, and whether it can be legally within that 4 boundary corners and give you a output, the answer is correct. Yes, it can be. But unfortunately, there are other tools which would bypass. So you saw Mohanlal and other guys actually enacting what do you say, like almost like a Don, like our Godfather, mimicking Godfather. How does? Where is the ring fence that you just thought about? I believe everybody would have seen that the artificial intelligence, what was the capable of artificial intelligence capable of doing that. Mohanlal was giving some dialogues, then another artist was giving this, almost the same dialogues and all those things, etc. You will see that all these politicians singing where is the real content? Where is the real aspect of it? So he just bypassed all those aspects, that particular aspects and all those things, etc. There are umpteen number of tools who can see that there was a saying that a look-alike, like 7 people like you will be there in the world, like a look-alike and all. There is umpteen number of tools which simply says that who are the. So all these, now what does it do? It reads all these things, etc. Simply to give you a narrative, when you are actually coming in or entering into any events or something like that, and there is a photo app which actually collects and helps you to get that photographs later on, what does it really do? It identifies your face, it recognizes your face. Now that is collected in some data. There is a server which you don't know where it is. Seriously, you don't know where that server is. And a generative AI can pull up that data and then come up with all those things. So there is huge possibility and equally huge possibility for doing some criminal activities or something like that. So it's all there. Idealistic situation is that, see, when that is why the government came up with the directive saying that you should have a metadata, identify where it is, and you should take the onus that you developed and released that particular application to the IT world, basically. But there are umpteen number of tools which will bypass that. How does the regulator fit in is that we will have to wait and see. Nothing else.
Very much fearful about AI. So in AI, like I was repeating the same case, if you're using tools which are already available and trained by the data available in the public domain, there is so many information that the AI engine is already exposed to. So you cannot control its knowledge. It is having a same artificial conscience like you. It has the tendency to add its opinion when is giving you the result. But if you want to automate or rather create a AI solution for yourself, I would always recommend to create a private LLM model which is trained to whatever limited information that you want the engine to get exposed to. So there, in that way, you have a control of the AI giving you the results, and it is limited to the exposure of the data or information that it's fed into. So it doesn't have a separate opinion of itself. It just goes and fetch, let's say your example, right? So you only want the income tax loss to be headed by the engine, and then probably whatever new updates which is coming into the domain, right? Only those informations. So you can train the AI model just to treat only that. But you integrate a ChatGPT or an OpenAI solution into that, it is exposed to probably the global tax reforms. It will come and say that probably it will mention a federal law which is applicable only in US also in the Indian tax system.
There is a tool like Google. There is a tool which actually helps you to identify which all AI applications that you require. So if you look into that particular application, you will get X number of tools that will be there. Obviously, there will be for example, there are umpteen number of applications from a legal journals which is available right now. There's only the subscription fees has to be paid and all those things, etc. That's already available. I'll just give a. Earlier, we used to proudly say that I am an LLM, but right now, the concept itself has changed. Now from LLM, the IT, earlier the IT, we used to say income tax. Now it is information technology. Likewise, LLM has also lost its large learning machines right now rather than, so just to give you one more perspective with it, see how this AI functions, like, to give you a small perspective, you have a website. Now, let's say your website doesn't have a facility or a feature to it. And if you integrate a particular AI to your website, the moment the customer requests such a kind of requirement, it generates of its own and then creates the page and the content that you are searching for in a snap of a second.
Exactly, chatbot. So when you need a solution like that, you can actually create a chatbot solution for yourself where it is an automated agent acting on your website on behalf of you. So you don't need a team to answer a call or respond to a WhatsApp message or anything.
Yes,
and it is only limited to the exposed of information. So it doesn't go beyond that. So
one more addition is that the call center services that we see is going to be reduced a lot because the chatbots can emote. It can actually use the same tone, the emotions that is there. So a call center, right now what the call center is doing can be better done by a chatbot which is having a voice and all those things, etc. And emote in the same emotions, saying that the voice can be, like if it is a medical field and all those things, etc., the voice can be trembling, no problems, all those things, etc. So it's a matter how you keen. How you just want the particular generative AI to behave. That is the only question. The imagination is your end. Yeah.
Just to continue that discussion, there is a solution from Google called Notebook GLM. And you can upload your own PDFs. It takes up to 50 sources. And it gives you very beautiful output limited to whatever you have uploaded. So I will ask you to try. I was just explaining that to my friend here while you were speaking.
One of our client is coming up with, it's already in the net. It's actually like a search engine for AI. What Google is right now doing, he's actually putting the same thing for the AI. So if you want a tool, so for example, if you want a music tool, let's put it complicated. The IT books and law books are very much there because it's already the contents are there. Like if you put that into a music industry, there is no new, you need to create a new music rather than analyzing the existing content. Now you have umpteen number of mobile applications, AI generated applications which can create beautiful music. Now voiceovers, you need not have a singer, you need not have an actor, you need not have a musicians, no percussionist, nothing. You can create an entire set of sound recording, as we call in the copyright, with these applications and come up with it. And if you are having a direct connection, you can claim the copyright to that aspect also. So there's a huge possibility. It's a huge, that's what I said that, see, cinematography is the culmination of a lot of human ingenuities like lyrics, music, script, acting, drama, and all those things, etc. You can see, you will be able to watch a film completely AI generated very soon. It is, and your favorite actors could, unless and until there is a case of personality rights, as Anil Kapoor's case came up. If there is no personality case rights or litigations over there, you can very well see the old dead actors in a color format. So it's all possible. It's all possible. Absolutely. What stops? What stops? See, just put a kind of, just tell me something which AI cannot do in a cinematograph. One single thing. It's already happened. See, that is a possibility of it. You need not have access. You need not have emotions. You need not have script. Nothing. So all these tools will help you to create the entire cinematograph as it is. Script, screenplay, music, actors, lyrics, name it. I don't see, you cannot wipe out the entire aspect. What AI will do is that AI will do the work that is assigned to it in a 100% perfect manner. Human beings are not capable of doing that thing in a 100% output. So it will vary, like 80 to 80% of output or 90%. But AI will be able to do more than perfect that particular work. But it will not be able to do the entire work of a human being. So that is what his assumption is. Let's pray that that's the truth. But we are trying to perfect our language even beyond the ChatGPT. That is what our constant attempt right now is. But yeah, obviously, that like nowadays, sometimes the legal notices or even the emails that is coming to us is so fantastic with all these language jargons, which we understand that who is this competitor, then we understand that ChatGPT is the competitor, and then obviously that's all happening. Yeah. It's a great tool. It's not that I'm putting everything in a negative. ChatGPT can be used in a very positive way also. That's not that it is negative. Yeah, thank you. I think I'm running out of the time. I believe this session was useful for you, and thank you for the full Crowne. Thank you, Chai, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the insightful session. And as a token of gratitude from TiE side, I request Mr. Damodar Avnur, our immediate past president, to present a memento. And now I request our active associate member, Mr. Viju Matthew, to deliver a vote of thanks.
I've been given the pleasant task of proposing the vote of thanks. Thanks to the president of TiE, Mr. Jacob Joy, for arranging a good program like the AI, which is of a current scenario and a good importance. Thanking Vivek Krishna Govind, the vice president of TiE, for explaining about the TiECON event, which is coming up on December 4th and 5th, and request everyone to get registered for it as quick as possible, because the cost will be going up. And that will be a good avenue for everyone to network, as well as for attending the meeting, because there will be a good number of speakers for the function. Thanking all the charter members and all the associate members for giving due importance to the TiECON, as well as for the TiE in conducting events like this, which is of immense benefit to all the members and non-members also. And today's speaker has delivered an excellent speech. Recently we have heard in KMA, Dr. Gigi Kurutulam. He has been explaining a lot of things on AI, and I believe Vinith also has excelled in the AI, and whoever comes first in the technological development, they will be reaping all the benefits. So I request everyone to get geared up for the AI. Thanking everyone for having participated in today's event in large numbers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Now this floor is open for networking over high tea. Thank you very much once again, everyone, for joining. And looking forward to seeing you all at TiECON Kerala on 4th and 5th December at Grand Hyatt Kochi. Thank you.